Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Your Safe Space podcast, where we talk about real stories and real people with absolutely no judgment. Joining us for this episode is an upcoming graduating law student, Jonathan Gregorio. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
Hey, thanks for
Hi,
joining us. So,
Georgia.
how are you now that you're already almost to the end, almost graduating law school? How does it feel?
It's very surreal, actually. I just finished all my requirements, so
Mm-hmm.
after exams, it's kind of anticlimactic because I had papers to do still. But so now I'm giving myself around a week, and then hopefully I can start preparing for the bar. So let's see how that goes. So just this week, I'm just enjoying my time, just relaxing.
How was it taking it in the pandemic? I'm sure it was really difficult. I mean, adjusting to working from home and studying from home has been difficult for everyone, but I can imagine it's been especially difficult for law students. There's just so much you have to cover and not having like that support system of like your blockmates or your professors in person. It must have been difficult. How was that for you?
For me, it was a mixture of both pros and cons. So I think a pro was that I had more time.
Mm-hmm.
I think being at home, you're more in control of time. So
Yeah.
technically, if you think about it, like at least for me, because I would drive from QC to Rockwell, so that would save me around the pandemic or online classes saved me around 3 hours of my day, which I could have spent studying. No, I spent studying somewhat, but also it gave me time to relax also. But
That's
I think the
productive too.
yeah, it's productive also. And I think the cons, I think, are like everyone else experiencing the online setup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's a very cooped up environment. I don't know why. Like I feel at least I'm the type of person I can't really, where I thought I couldn't really work in the same place where I slept. So when
Yeah.
during the normal setup, I would always study in coffee shops, in the library, and it was such a huge adjustment studying next to my bed and like being so near Netflix and all other distractions. But overall, it's been okay. I think it's just the adjustment, and I'm happy I get to spend time with my parents also. So that's a huge bonus.
That's good. But I totally feel you. I mean, I think I had the same perception. I wouldn't want to like work in my room, which is where I work now most days, because I think you feel like your room is like your safe space, pun intended.
Of
But
course.
then also because also because you want to relax in your room, you don't want to be able to like associate it. So if you're going to be working in the same place where you relax, it's kind of like there are no boundaries. At least that's how I felt. I don't know if that's where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think boundaries are important also, and like
Yeah.
yeah, it's really it's hard like commingling it or mixing it up together because I don't know, you don't realize the impact it has on you. Like you just get burnt out of nowhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know about you in your work setup, but I think or professors or bosses they might not really they think that working from home should be beneficial for you, so they could potentially like pile on requirements or like they wouldn't really care much about your time because you're working from home naman, so you should be present always, right? So it
Yeah.
can get tiring.
Actually, it's quite the opposite for me. So in the company that I work for, they actually advocate for taking time off or personal wellness, and it was really refreshing. Like I'd hear from like top executives, and they talk about how it's important to really take the time to like care for your mental health. And I guess it's because the pandemic really showed us what mental health is. I mean, in the past, I think mental health is something that everybody has to take care of. It's just that when put against the setting of the pandemic, you realize that oh my gosh, like it's real because you don't have all these distractions to like distract you. Yeah, yeah, right. There you can't.
Yeah.
There's just so much noise. There was so much noise like pre-pandemic, but then now forced to stay in the same place all the time. You're kind of left alone with your thoughts, and it kind of makes you want to better understand your mental health. Well, at least that's how I felt, and I think that's an experience that many of my peers have felt both in and out of work. Is that something that you can resonate with, maybe, or is that what you felt about mental health too?
um I think the pandemic really shed light onto
Yeah.
the importance of taking care of one's mental health, at least mine also, because like what you said, I really agree or resonate with what you said. How you're alone with your thoughts, and I think now more than ever, everyone's alone with their thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because before, like, um, because of the world is constantly moving, everyone having
Hmm.
their own things to do, goals to achieve, going after their dreams. I think people get caught up with actions, or just they just keep moving, diba? Wanting to do as much and be productive, more as productive as possible. But
Hmm.
I think the pandemic really changed what the perception of what productive really is, because at least personally, I think productive has has been given a new meaning,
Yeah.
because like productivity isn't about the things you do, like isn't just about the tasks you do, the things you accomplish on your checklist, because I have a checklist also, like, but it's separate to check
Yeah.
stuff out, right? But I think productivity is also knowing when to, like, just pause, take a break, and finding things that are productive for you. Like, for example, right, you said you've been into running recently, right, or jogging, like
Hmm.
stuff like that, or maybe playing with your dog. Or for me, I think productivity is also like being able to work out every day, or
Yeah.
yeah, those little things are also productive. They're just productive in their own way, I think.
Yeah, no, that's such a refreshing take on productivity. I mean, you know how millennials, right? We're called the burnout generation because we're
Yeah,
always go, go, go. Like you're right. Like we're always looking onto the next goal. Like what's next? Like what we have to do. Like me personally, I'm kind of like neurotic about my checklist. It's like, oh my god, I can't sleep. There's still like two more things, and then sometimes I realize, oh my god, I could have waited until tomorrow. But yeah, that's such a refreshing take on productivity. But I'm just curious because you said that was something that that's like a perspective that you took on only during the pandemic. And before that, was your perspective on productivity different or on mental health? You know, how does life differ from from before?
well, I think in terms of my journey with mental health and my
Yeah.
perception of it, I think it goes way beyond law school and before law school, because in high
Cool.
school, grade school, college, I was always like an athlete. I was into taekwondo, basketball, track and field, and all these different sports. And in these sports, I think you learn the value of grit, of quote
Yeah.
unquote being tough, of just grinding it out. And I think misconception, or something that I believed in before, was you just gotta keep gritting it out, diba? Like Mamba mentality, diba? Like Kobe Bryant would
Yeah,
say.
mom.
Yeah, it's something that people resonate with, people admire, and that was a core value for me. Like just always being tough,
Hmm.
acknowledging that there are like bad times, but always just pushing forward. And I took that with me, I think, also when I reached law school. And of
Hmm.
course, in a way, it was beneficial because I was able to always stay tough, but stand tall. Like if I have a bad recitation, I would just keep my chin up, my head
Mamba,
up.
mamba
Yeah, Mamba,
mentality.
Mamba. What would Kobe do, right? So I just just be headstrong and just keep grinding it out. But I realized that it was just something was weighing me down also,
Hmm.
that always putting on a facade or always trying to be tough can also be exhausting and tiring. And I think that's where I realized that the importance of taking care of your mental health.
Yeah.
Because I think a misconception that people have is that um, how they think na, I respect mental health. Like I see that it's a real issue, but I never thought it applied to me, diba? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I always
Or
had
then
that.
it's like a fever. Like people think it's something that they can catch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
parang, and like when people think about like people going through their mental health
Yeah.
struggles, diba? Like you have a friend, diba? And they say, "Oh, I'm going to a therapist." Parang the misconception people automatically think is, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay?" But I think um, my growth in law school, I guess, or the struggles taught me na it's not really about something being wrong. It's that mental health is just as important as your physical health, right? It's just
Exactly.
another aspect of taking care of yourself, diba? And I think, especially during times of stress and pressure, intense pressure. So no matter where you are, what situation. For me, it was law school. For others, it could be in the workplace, or their other personal problems or situations, I think that it's always important to take care of yourself, and that if you take it for granted, like I did initially, you're going to feel something weighing you down, and it'll be hard to explain even to yourself, I think. And I think the first step for me was really just acknowledging that mental health isn't there when something's wrong. It's just always there.
Yeah, no, I think that's really admirable. Like, thanks for that. I mean, one thing that really like stuck out to me was that you were put in these like very tough environments. So be that sports, like an all boys school, law school. That's like the peak of like machismo. Like if we're like right, I mean, we're still a very largely patriarchal society. So I think that
Yep.
there really is that ideal to be like a strong man and all that. So it's just interesting to me that it was against like the background of law school, which is probably like the toughest out of all of them, wherein you realize that this pressure to be okay all the time, like it's not okay.
Yeah.
Like it was there that you realize that like you don't have to always have this facade of pretending to be okay. So I think that was really interesting, and I think that's quite difficult to admit, or sometimes
Mm.
it makes it even more like difficult for you to realize that okay, this is something that I'm going through, because you might think right like that you're just weak, and because
Yeah.
that's what you've been conditioned to believe your whole life. So I think it's really great, and it's really admirable that that you realize that. So I'm just curious, like after having realized all of that, what then did you do to manage it? I mean, that's a lot of there's a lot of things that play into that, right? So what did you do to manage your mental health given that?
What I did was, of after acknowledging it, um, I'm the type of person that doesn't usually like to like share feelings,
Yes, stoic, gotta be like a
Yeah, so
mom.
yeah, Mamba, what would Kobe do? The straight face. No, but um like even like in terms of making jokes, I'm the type na, 'di ba, I just like give a joke to lighten up the mood, 'di ba? It helps you like just
Mhm.
relax and stuff. But in terms
Yeah,
of
sorry. So I've known Jonathan since like high school, and he's always been
yeah,
that way.
yeah,
Very like you don't know what he's feeling, because he's very stoic in that sense. They're always joking around.
I can change the topic with those stuff, 'di ba? Get it
Yeah,
back
I
to
think
you
he's doing
guys.
it right now.
What are you talking about? What's the question? No. So what I did was, I think after my first like bad law school like recitation, because it'll
Mhm.
happen eventually. I think the earlier it happens, the better, because you get to adjust to it. So, but for
Baptism
me,
by fire.
yeah, it's like a trial by fire. So, when the first bad recitation I had, I studied right away, and like I thought to my head, yeah, bawi na lang ako next recitation, diba? I'll do better
Mhm.
next time. So I still had that stoic disposition, mindset, and sure enough, yeah, I would like do better the next time and maybe the time after that. But as I said, like something was like I felt like I was getting burnt out, and I realized that it was important that I had to acknowledge what I was feeling. Also, like it sucked, like to have a bad recitation, to maybe have a bad
Yeah.
result in your quiz or exam. It sucks, and that's part of the process. And I had a senior in law school who I talked to about it, and he gave me really good advice. He told me that it's important that after you have a bad experience, I think this applies to law school and in life, um, you have to just acknowledge it first, feel it. So he told me that I should come up with a routine where I could just like pause and just let myself like sulk and like be sad about what
Yeah.
happened. And it's not bad. It's just a way to cope with what happened. And after this routine, like for example, what I did was I would walk to power plant. I would get coffee and I just sit there, blank staring, staring blankly into like people watching or just chilling for like 30
Mhm.
minutes. And then after 30 minutes, I'd walk back to the library and study again. And I was surprised that it actually did help. I was able to like let myself sulk and just feel how much it sucked. But also after, the weight was lifted when I was actually putting in the work again, and it contributed like immensely to feeling better, I guess, and not being burnt out. And oh, there's another thing I did. Actually, two things. So, because my brothers also went to
Dami
law
pala.
school. Yeah, dami pala. No? Ooh, joke lang. So my brothers
No, but
also.
it's good. I mean, I think like coping. Sorry to
Yeah,
cut you. Like,
no
I just
worries.
wanted to say, I think coping takes form in like different ways all the time, and as we change as people, our coping mechanisms will have to change too. So
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's great that you like found different ways to do that, and you seem to have self help from so many people.
Yeah, I think it's important also to acknowledge that it's not like a one size fit all. Like different things may apply to different
Mm-hmm.
people. Like because I'm not the type to really share feelings, so I didn't really think that for me, what I was going through, in that context, like sharing it with other people would benefit me, at least for me. So I thought, what other ways could potentially help me. And another thing
Mm-hmm.
was, I asked my brothers, my kuyas, and they told me that they felt the same thing, because they were also in law school and they felt the pressure. And it was
Mm-hmm.
very liberating to know that like two people I look up to also had those kind of days, those bad days. And I asked them what they did, and the first thing they told me was there was this chapel or this room beside the chapel where they'd go to just to get some peace. And um, when I tried visiting there, and it really helped me. Like it really helped me just to quiet down all my thoughts and to just relax, because I think like what you said earlier, George, sometimes people are just go 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 that they forget to pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one thing that helped, and I made that part of my routine. So every morning when I'd get to school, I'd always start my day in the chapel. And the last thing I did was whenever I felt really stressed, really pressured, I did the sign of the cross before I studied, and I didn't talk to God or anything. I just took my studying as a form of prayer, and it really just put things into perspective, I guess. So yeah, those
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
three things I did.
No, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think like the idea of like purpose and like having meaning, I think that really helps people like being able to ground yourself. That will really help you holistically, not just with your mental
Mm,
health, right? Because it gives meaning to everything that you're doing, and it kind of helps you power through the hard times. So it's great that you're able to do that. I think that's such a small thing that like really makes a huge impact. But another thing that I wanted to say was it's so interesting because it's like your story really came full circle. So coming from a background where like you're all boys in the family, all boys school, sports, law school, etc. So it's all really tough background. So like you kind of like resisted your feelings, right? Like I'm not okay, like but I gotta keep that inside. But you kind of like coming to terms to that also was like your resistance to that ideal by you like opening up to your peers and to your brothers. And in a way I think that's like the greatest form of strength. People always think that strength is being tough or doing things on your own, but actually being vulnerable is another form of strength. And it's hard, it's not okay. I
yeah,
mean, it's so hard to admit that you're not okay, right? Especially with all the conditioning. Not to get into like those things, but based on what you said. So I think it's great to see how it came full circle and how I think you being open with your story also helps other people be open with their stories and to be okay with admitting that they're not okay.
I wanted to like just agree with what you said. Like it really is okay to
Thanks.
not be. Yeah, it really is okay to not be okay. And I think the faster that people realize that, like I think the faster that they'll be able to like understand like what like how they're doing. Diba? Like when people ask you, "Oh, how are you?" Sometimes people are just like, "Oh, I'm okay," or "I'm not okay." But parang I feel like by acknowledging what you're feeling or trying to understand it, then you're one step closer to being okay, I guess.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that too. Because
Mm.
how can you solve something without even knowing what you want to solve in the first place? So I
Yeah.
think it was great that you admitting to yourself that I'm not okay, and then doing these small things. That was like steps to for you to get better and fix yourself in a sense, like fix what you felt. So I'm just curious, other than like encouraging people to realize that it's okay to not be okay, are there other like misconceptions about mental health you'd like to change? I guess I'm especially interested because of your background. I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, even if they're not in law school, right? The Philippines is
Yeah.
very hard to accept like mental health. especially in men. Like they feel like it's a weakness. They feel like it's you not being strong or you being weak. So I'm just curious.
Well, I think another misconception that is important to be clarified, I guess, is what really is mental health. What we were talking about earlier. Mental health really shouldn't be equated to something being wrong. I think it's just a part of being human, diba? It's a part of one's humanity.
Definitely.
Yeah, like for example, if someone goes like, for example, if one focuses on their physical health, they want to be more fit, they want to lose weight. What do? They go to the gym. Some people will start doing more cardio, eat healthier, and I think that's on the other side of it. Like you can equate that also to to mental health, because mental health, there are
Mm-hmm.
also things that you can do to strengthen your psyche, to clear your
Yes.
mind. Yeah, I think mental taking care of your mental health always about like something be isn't always about acknowledging that something is wrong, but it's also about acknowledging that you have to take care of your mental health also, and it could be preventive or proactive, and by doing that, I think that the quality of life, it sounds cheesy, but I think that the quality of life really is expanded, and um, you're giving yourself more time to breathe, to grow, and you grow holistically, as you said. So I think it's really important that not just men but people in general just take care of their mental health.
Yeah, I love it. And I think in almost every episode we like to reiterate that there doesn't have to be anything wrong. I mean, just
Mm.
like your physical health, you have to take care of yourself. It's not like I'm gonna drink vitamins only when I'm at the brink of dying. Like I take
Yeah.
my vitamins every day so that my body is strong and whatever ways you need to take care of your mental health. So some people like they go to therapy regularly,
Hmm.
even if they're not necessarily going through anything, just to be able to like untangle their thoughts, right? To be able to keep their mind strong in that sense, or keep their mental health strong in that sense. So I think that's a really great way of viewing things. The perspective really is so refreshing. I love how you're so encouraging of people of all ages and all backgrounds, all genders. I think that's
Yeah.
something that we really need now. And I think it's great to see also some schools are very proactive, like you said.
Hmm.
They're very proactive with how they take care of their students' mental health.
Hmm.
I mean, it's good for students to be aware, right? Like we said earlier, you can't do anything about it if you don't know what's wrong in the first place.
Yeah, and just to build off of that, I think it's also in terms of mental health. I also don't think that it's like, to an extent, yes, it's a journey that you go on for yourself, but I think it may be like for yourself, but it's not by yourself. I think,
Ooh, I love that.
yeah, because I feel like acknowledging mental health um is easier when you know that there are other people also who are
Hmm.
around you to support you or to empathize with you. And for me, I had a lot of support when when it comes to my parents, my brothers, my sisters, my blockmates, of course, my batchmates, and like there's so many people that contributed to um, ensuring that like I'm okay, that my mental health is okay, and I think that they're also a part of one's journey, I guess. And it's important that you know that saying where you you become like the people you're with or something like that. Like,
Yeah, the top five people you're with or
yeah,
something.
yeah, parang I think it's important to surround yourself with people um who contribute to your growth, I guess,
Hmm.
because I think, I don't know, it's something that people don't realize enough, um that the people you surround yourself with, whether you realize it or not, they really contribute to the person you're becoming or the person you are. And yeah, so I don't know, I just think that mental health is really a journey that you share with other people. And for me, it's not sharing like verbally all the time, because I'm really not
Because
that
that's
type
not
of
who you
person.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's okay.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but it's
Acknowledgement is important.
yeah, it's true. So if I can't share it verbally, it's just about like knowing that there are people there for me, right? And I think just knowing that they're there is enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like with mental health, it's very holistic. I mean, psychology is like one whole like gigantic field, right? Like for example, like you mentioned you really don't like to open up, and that's fine. I think like that's another way like of like holding space for other people and like cultivating those safe spaces is like being able to respond to them in the ways that they need it. So it's not forcing them to open up
Yeah.
if they don't want to. Some people, they just need quality time. I guess like different love languages also. That's a way of
Yeah.
like being there for the person. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're in the wrong for not wanting to open up, right? Or that you're not doing enough because they're not opening up to you. It's really being there in the way that the person needs you to be there. So yeah, I think that's a really important discussion to have as well. One thing that I thought of when you were talking about how mental health is a shared journey, like it's with other
Mm-hmm.
people as well, is I read this quote recently that said, "We don't see things as they are; we see things as we are," and that's really a thinker. What
Mm.
does that mean, diba? But then I think that's so true. A lot of the things the way that we perceive the world, it's really shaped by what we think, and it's the brain is a muscle. Every
Yeah.
the way whatever you think, find that becomes more ingrained in your thoughts. So the way that you think about some things over and over again, it kind
Yeah.
of shapes your perception on things. And you being able to surround yourself with the right people who allow you to see the best in yourself and the best in different situations, that really shapes your mind and your perception, and that will shape your experience of life. So I think that's just another important thing to point out.
Yeah. And I think that's really important also because I feel like um, at least for me personally, I don't know about other people, but hopefully, sometimes we don't realize how in control of our thoughts we are. I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing grammar, but I don't think, I think,
Tama
I
naman.
think, tama naman, no? I think it's important that we acknowledge that we are like at the driver's seat, like we're in control of
Mm-hmm.
what we think, we're in control of how we feel, and it's I think another important thing in terms of mental health is not depending although it's a shared journey, it's also not depending on other people for your happiness or for some fulfillment, because I think that should also come from yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's another misconception, daming misconception, but yeah, that's
Damn, it's
another.
so wise.
Yeah,
Grabe si attorney.
I don't know. I think the pandemic really gave me some perspective alone with my thoughts, so but no, but really though, I think people will be a lot happier and a lot more content with life if they just um, find happiness within themselves and
Mm-hmm.
not look for other people, because I don't know, like I think I think a person's always enough na eh. I mean, you're always going to be enough.
Oh.
Easy, but that's true. It's really true, right?
Tumagas sa puso.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah,
that's a really great way to put it, and I think that's what people often forget, right? That you're enough. Because I guess in that quest for more, 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 it's always you feel like there's a lack or that there needs to be more
oh,
of
it's
you or that
true.
there
Yeah,
isn't enough, right?
yeah.
But recognizing from the get go that you are good enough as you are, that kind of
Hmm.
like gives you some peace of mind in a way. Kind of helps quiet those
Yeah,
thoughts. I
yeah.
actually am a huge fan of meditation. I
Hmm.
actually haven't meditated in a while, but today I meditated because I was
Nice.
feeling very anxious. I use Headspace. Wow, indulge.
How do you
Like,
meditate, if I may ask? Like, is
yeah,
does
I
it
just
follow you?
follow the app.
Okay,
It,
that's
and it gives you prompts. I think some people who are like more like well versed in meditation, they're able to do it on their own, which is great too. It's really
yeah.
admirable. In college, I took a class where our professor she gave us like pebbles, like one pebble
Yeah,
each. And for the meditation, you just have to hold the pebble and really, really feel the
yeah.
pebble. Like the prompt, like the weight of the pebble in your hand, the shapes, what are the are there different like cracks on it, just so you can focus and really be there in the moment. I
Yeah,
mean, it sounds funny now, right? Like me really concentrating on a pebble for 15 minutes, but
yeah.
then I think that's really the practice. It's for you to really be there in the moment, have your mind be there, and I think that's similar to what you were saying about how in control you are of your thoughts. You know, meditation is a practice.
Mm,
In one of the episodes that we had, Cat Cruz mentioned that it's a
mm,
practice. And it's something that you, as with any practice, you have to keep
yeah,
doing it over and over. It's never going to be perfect. But I think there's joy to be found in that, and there's meaning to be found in that. But every day it takes form in different ways, and you have to figure out what works for you. So I am personally an advocate of meditation. I think it works. Again, it won't work for everyone, but just
Yeah.
that practice of like intentionality and being there in the moment. I think that's something that will be helpful for a lot of people, no matter what form it takes.
It's pretty cool, right? Like how when you meditate, you just it's ironic, but also like it's very comforting how when you clear your mind, like your thoughts also just dissipate and like I don't know after the
Yeah,
meditation. Yeah, I think I mean I've meditated a few times before, but and that's
yeah,
the feeling. But it's so although it's very like the feeling is great, like it's also tiring. Like it's very tiring to like especially at the beginning, no, to meditate and to just
yeah.
like pause and not think of anything because like yeah, so because like for example, when I meditated before, like, and I had a hard time thinking of nothing. So I literally would think of like I think yeah. So I'd like, what can I think of? Like I think of the color black. Like no joke. Like I just think of the color black, and it worked also. But like I can't do the nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean. Actually, thanks for pointing that out. I think people always talk about how meditation is difficult, like it's hard to concentrate, but then I think that's one thing that people don't mention. It's tiring. Like,
it's
right, like
tiring.
it is a practice. So like with sports, for example, if you're going to keep practicing basketball, like shooting the ball. Sorry, I'm not a that
Yeah,
was a bad analogy, but
tama naman yung shooting. Yeah, shooting.
Tama
Yeah,
naman, right? Like it's tiring. Like you use up those
yeah.
muscles. So same way with the brain. Like you practicing being there in the moment. It takes a lot of effort. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like sometimes it's even physical effort. But then I think that's one thing that's kind of comforting also, maybe for people who are being too hard on themselves for not
Mm-hmm.
having the perfect meditation practice, right?
Yeah, but also another way, I don't think there is. I mean, there could be like an ideal like meditation practice, but I think it's also personal. So I think
Mm-hmm.
you like for me, like I couldn't really think of nothing, so I just thought of like
The
one
color
thing.
black.
Yeah, color black. I'm thinking of my
Rainbow
shirt.
pala, every day ibang
Yeah,
color.
yeah, blue, one big fight. But yeah, I think it's important that I don't know people. I think people would meditate more if they realize that there's like it's not it's hard, but it's also like personal. So go at your own pace. Just like in like sports, also if you can't shoot the ball, diba? Like
Like
far, you
me, I
just
can't
yeah, you
shoot
just
the
lay up
ball.
na lang.
Cheering na
Kukuha.
lang on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
Bench warmer.
yeah. Gilas.
No, but I love it. Like I think everything that you said, like one common thread to all of that was you're always um pushing for how things are very personal, whether it's coping mechanisms, the way that you help other people, the way that you like to be helped, meditating, it's always that it takes form in different ways for different people. And I think that's very important when we're discussing mental health. So out of all the things that you said, all the wise advice, everything that you've shared, if there's someone who was in the same place as you were, having that environment where they felt that mental health was outside of themselves, but they're actually struggling, what advice would you give to them?
If
Dami na ba?
thinking nga eh.
Dami ng advice.
Can you just share to them this podcast or no, I would probably just tell them to just maybe not really. I mean, because I think no matter what advice you give someone, they won't really take it until they're ready to take it. Like they'll hear what they want to hear, or it'll just be
True.
noise to them, right? So I think if someone spoke to me like in college or in high school about it, I just tell them to just just take care of their psyche, um, just always make sure you check up on yourself first and foremost, diba? Don't just keep chasing after like the things you want, your goals, diba? And keep having that go attitude.
Keep go, go,
Go
go.
go, keep go. I think yeah, I
Rifa
would
Baywatch.
I would I would just tell them that yeah, to just always be present in
Mm-hmm.
their emotions and their thoughts and just take it from there. And yun, like I think I would have appreciated that advice. Especially like when law school started, because I
Yeah.
think I think that was the point where me and my batchmates were all having that go attitude that it
Mm-hmm.
became very stressful. So yeah.
Thanks for that, Jonathan. I think that's a really nice way to put it. I mean, it really shows how you've come full circle, like I mentioned earlier. Like you like resisting all these thoughts and feelings, and then you now giving back this advice not only to other people but to yourself, like you practicing it in different ways. I think it really shows that that understanding of mental health is so much more like profound, because like
Mhm.
you really took the time to understand it for yourself, and you don't want to generalize also, which I think is great. I think that's something that um is a common like common error that people have sometimes. Like they'll kind of like pigeonhole you, but humans are so complex and
Yeah,
all
it's
that
so
jazz.
complex.
So anyway, before we wrap things up, I just wanted to check if there's anything else that you wanted to share when it comes to taking care of yourself, or like battling these stereotypes. It's been a really meaty episode with lots of great advice.
Well,
What a kind of advice call.
no. Well, I don't think naman that like I don't think I'm the like ideal guest in terms of like the advice, quote unquote advice. But I guess it's just coming from a place of um it's based off of my own experiences, and
Yes.
hopefully like if there's something that I don't know listeners can take out of this, or with a grain of salt, is that it's not a one size fit all kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that wherever they are in their journey, that they are able to like understand themselves more. I think it starts with that. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I think this will be able to really resonate with a lot of people. So thanks again, Jonathan, and thanks for listening, guys. That's all the time we have left for today. Once again, this has been your safe space.